I go to the Roxbury Latin School, which is a school here in Boston. The school has been in continuous existence for the longest in North America. It's one of their claims to fame, and um, I'm a junior. I really enjoy language classes. I like the chemistry class that I'm taking this year that I find fun. And I'm also taking an AP music theory class, which I really enjoy. I started playing the piano when I was maybe 4 or 5 in kindergarten. And that experience has been, will, and most likely will be, a very important part of who I am, for my entire life. And although it's although practicing is very hard, it's hard because I have to try to get to get the piano to express what the composer had in mind, which is very complicated. But the satisfaction that comes from knowing that you have sort of uncovered all the mysteries the composers baked into their works is very satisfying and very rewarding. One of the most enjoyable parts about music for me, at least learning new music, um, each piece of music tells a story, and sort of finding out what that story is based on listening to interpretations that other people have, that are on YouTube or whatnot, and then sort of using your own imagination and thinking about it in your own way, um, and practicing in a way that sort of makes it evident what you believe the music to be. Um, as people can hear in your playing, is I find it quite interesting and quite fun. Well-Tempered Clavier, especially the second book, is one of my favorite collections of pieces because it lays out a harmonic and structural framework for the music that has followed, in the past hundreds of years and will continue to be a framework for music that is written in the next 400, 500, 600 years. It's so revolutionary in counterpoint, in what writing for a keyboard instrument means, um, in pushing the boundaries of what music writing in essence actually means. And so I think the Well-Tempered Clavier, each prelude and each fugue has some kind of aspect that sort of introduces something new to writing for the keyboard. Take like the E major fugue, prelude and fugue from the second book that I submitted for the Musicale competition. The prelude is Bach structures it as a trio sonata, as was commonly seen in the Baroque times, and also the fugue being, I don't know, what I imagine as one of the most exalted fugues of all of the 48. Um, it's very choral, and it sounds like something to be performed in a church. So I think that about the Well-Tempered Clavier, um, each prelude and fugue has something new and revolutionary to offer that sort of lays out some kind of base for composers to follow or build upon.
How do you practice that kind of music?
The practicing fugues is very hard. Um, I find it very difficult because, especially in complicated ones that have 4, even 5 voices that are, that have many layers of counterpoint, and everything's very compact. But a lot of the fugues are very long. I practice it usually by listening to 1 or 2 voices at a time, um, and making sure the counterpoint is, as my piano teacher puts it, so my counterpoint is clean, so that each voice sort of, and figuring out what you want the audience to hear. Because in a fugue like the E major one, there's so much going on that it's imperative, I think, for the pianist to figure out which theme in a stretto is the best. You want the audience to hear which one is the most important, the inversions. So I think practicing fugues is hard because it involves a lot of concentration and thought, more so than other pieces.
Do you support your piano study by taking other things? How important is it to have more of a well-rounded music education
I
to
think it's very important. As I mentioned earlier, at school right now, I'm taking an AP music theory course, and I've never really had formal music theory training before. I mean, I've obviously picked stuff up because I've been doing piano for a long time, but being exposed to real formal teaching this stuff has proved very beneficial for me. It's proved beneficial, so I also enjoy composing my own music, and this music theory course I don't know, allowed me to understand music composition and construction better. So that I found has been very helpful, understanding harmonic relationships and shifts in different pieces of music. So yeah, I do think it's important to um, I don't know, seek other sources of learning outside of piano lessons or whatever other instrument lessons you've taken.
What has been the most rewarding experience for you?
Well, there are many, but um, one of the most rewarding experiences has been chamber music, actually, playing in ensembles. Um, and I've had I'm very lucky to have had many opportunities to perform with other musicians, other serious musicians. And a few years ago I did a year of NEC chamber music, which was my first foray into um, playing piano trios and such. And then when I started at Roxbury Latin in ninth grade, they have a chamber program because there are a few serious musicians there. So in ninth grade, I had the opportunity to play a movement from the or two movements from the first Brahms piano trio, which was really it was so fulfilling. It was so amazing because I don't know. I think also Brahms. One of the reasons I like Brahms so much is because I think his chamber music is the best of anyone's. And this year, I have the opportunity again to play the Brahms horn trio, all four movements, with two other serious musicians, which I'm really looking forward to finishing.
If you have a word of encouragement for little kids, what would you say?
If I had to encourage kids about music and practicing, it's that it's similar to a lot of things. The going is tough. The doing is tough, but the end result is so unbelievably fulfilling and satisfying that I don't know. It really gives you something to work for, and um, it's tremendously, as I said, fulfilling when you finally do uncover sort of all of the various twists and turns the composer had in mind, and all of the and when you uncover all the layers of music that were meticulously written. Um, it's so satisfying to understand, share, and and share your hard work and discovery with the world. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
You're preparing for a master class by Mr. Berman. How's that preparation for you?
Um, I'm really looking forward to it. I really enjoy um, master classes with master teachers. Um, I've had the opportunity to engage with master teachers before, and um, they've all given me extremely valuable insight into both practicing and performing um, the music that I've what I've shown them. So I'm really looking forward to um, learning with Professor Berman.
Are you kind of a musician that some musicians think that all they wanted to do is to dig out what composer wants to do,
Mhm.
and their focus is solely on trying to interpret composer's intentions. The other camp often thinks that, well, because the composers are kind of the past, you take it, you mix with your own, and you have the liberty to do whatever you want. What's like for you?
Put myself in the first description you gave. Um, I find that what the composer has given us is what we are to perform. I don't know, the way that I think about it is otherwise it would be your music, and I mean it's good to sort of do whatever you want or sort of really turn what's been given to you, whether it be a prelude, a fugue, a nocturne, an etude, turn that piece of music into something of your own. But I would think that the more correct, no, the more correct, but I think that the thing that the way that the thing that I jump to first is sharing the composer's music first and not my own. So I think I put myself in the first category that you shared. I don't know, with the exception of Baroque composers, composers have left Chopin, Brahms. They leave. instructions in the music and slurs, tempo markings, I don't know, legato, non-legato texts and stuff. And I don't know, it's sort of like there are rules that you have to follow, and so it's like you have this music, but there's all this other stuff that the composer sort of they obviously knew how they wanted it to sound because they wrote it, came from up here, and I don't know. I feel like us pianists now in 2021 sort of have a responsibility to take what was in their heads and sort of, you know, feed it to the audience through our fingers and through our own. Of course, there's going to be many different ways that people think about how that kind of music should be interpreted on, a modern piano, and any music really for that matter. So I think there's obviously you can't. I don't think there's obviously some aspects from the second category that you shared that are necessary, um, but I think that if the composer does write something on the page, then that instruction needs to be followed, unless they say otherwise. But
How's this pandemic been for
ooh,
you?
um, I've learned quite a bit about myself. I've learned that well, I've taken part in plenty of things that I wouldn't have otherwise done, um, music and non-music things. And staying on the topic of music, last summer in July, I had the opportunity to participate in an online music festival where I did have the opportunity to be under instruction of a master teacher named Dmitry Steinberg, and that was something that, while on paper, an online music academy camp summer festival didn't exactly sound so appealing, but I learned so much from Professor Steinberg. I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to do so.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you have a lot more space to explore
Yeah.
new things and all that. So, what are the pieces you're playing? What's coming up for you?
Oh, well, right now, um, the big thing that I'm working on are the Brahms Handel variations, which are immensely difficult, but I think that some of the best piano music ever written is is hidden in those 25 variations and the glorious fugue that follows them. It's very hard because it's so long, but it's definitely one of my favorite pieces at the moment. And I'm about to start learning two Debussy preludes, which I intend to play in the Professor Berman masterclass. Thank you for the opportunity.